close your eyes. Transport yourself to a space you know all too well. The kitchen late at night, or the car after a tough conversation. The air is thick, you could cut it with a knife. You hear the ticking of the clock, the hum of the fridge, your own breathing. Beside you is another person. Their physical presence is palpable, but between you lies an impassable strip of dead zone. It's not just the absence of conversation. It's an active, living substance, a third entity in the room. Presses on your eardrums, heavier than any shout. This silence isn't passive. It's an actor, and it has a name: discomfort, resentment, testing, waiting, despair, love that's afraid to speak, hate that hasn't found words. This is the dark force of silence, and it controls you more than all the phrases spoken in a day combined. You grew up in a culture that worships words. Let's talk it out, clear the air, discuss it. You've been taught that any problem is solved through dialogue, and any misunderstanding is just a lack of sincerity. It's a convenient, pretty, but catastrophically naive model. It works on the surface like a band-aid on a deep burn. It ignores a fundamental truth. Between a man and a woman, there's a layer of communication that lies deeper than words, beyond language, beyond logic, beyond conscious intent. It's a layer of energies, instincts, social roles, read in fractions of a second. And the main conductor on this layer isn't speech, but its absence. What you do when you're not speaking. Today, we're debunking the sweetest and most destructive myth about intimacy. The myth that silence is just silence, that it's a neutral pause, a technical break, fatigue, or a shortage of topics. We're tossing aside this childish view. We're diving into the abyss of what really happens in the space between two people when words run dry. We'll see that this space isn't emptiness. It's an arena where the main battles for power, closeness, security, and self-definition are fought. Where it's decided who you are in these relationships, a beggar or a partner, a pursuer or prey, a source or a consumer. Here's the central idea that will flip your understanding of any relationship. Silence in a couple isn't a break in communication. It's the purest, most concentrated form of it. There's no noise of words to hide behind. There's only the raw, unfiltered energy of what is. It's a blank screen projecting all your unspoken fears, unexpressed resentments, unmet needs, and silent demands. Every second of quiet is an offer, a question, an accusation, a plea, or a show of strength. How you endure it, how you fill it, how you break it. This is the most precise diagnosis of your psychological state and the power balance in the pair. All your pain from misunderstanding, when you talked, shouted, begged, and got an icy wall of silence in return. Your frustration when after a fight you want to reconcile and talk, but your partner retreats into silence. Your anxiety when a message is delivered, but no reply comes for 1 hour, 2 hours, a night. These aren't communication problems. They're symptoms of encountering this dark force. And you, not understanding its nature, either pound on the wall with words or panic and shatter your own self-esteem against it. Insight 1. Silence as a weapon and silence as a void. Two faces of the same force. The first face, silence as active aggression like a cold weapon. It's also called building a stone wall. It's not just avoiding conversation. It's a demonstrative, theatrical, palpable withdrawal into inaccessibility. After a conflict, he turns his back, cranks up the TV, pretending you don't exist. She retreats to the bedroom and locks the door, or starts scrubbing dishes with visible effort, cutting herself off physically and emotionally. The goal of this silence isn't to escape. It's to punish, to show that access to her attention, her warmth, is now blocked. And it'll only open on terms of surrender from the guilty party. It's an ultimatum tactic. Whoever breaks first with a plea, apology, or attempt to reset loses the round. They admit emotional dependence and pay the toll. The pattern solidifies. Next time, the wall goes up faster and higher because it works. The second face, silence as ignoring, as erasure. It's not loud, but a quiet vanishing. And nothing more, not that day, not the next. Ignoring attempts to talk. Vague one-word replies like fine, okay, later. That kill the conversation dead. This isn't a wall. It's an abyss. The message here is even more devastating. You're so insignificant you don't even deserve my negative energy, my anger. You're zero. You don't exist in my emotional world. This silence is the purest test of psychological independence. If your self-worth, your emotional balance, is tied to getting a response from this specific person, this silence will be torture. And your reaction, panicked messages, calls, demands for explanations, will only prove its power. You'll show that your existence truly turns to nothing in their quiet. But both faces are just symptoms. The root lies in your attitude toward silence itself. The fear of silence is the fear of being left alone with an unconfirmed self. The fear that without an external mirror, like the other's reaction, you don't know if you exist, if you're important, if you're worthy of love. It's this fear that makes the other's silence such a powerful weapon. You've handed them the detonator yourself, hiding all your emotional explosives in their approval. Insight 2. Silence as body language. What your physiology screams when your mouth is shut. You're sitting in the same room, not speaking. But let's look closely. His posture. Back straight but unnaturally stiff, shoulders hunched up to his ears, arms crossed over his chest, fingers digging into his biceps. His breathing is shallow and erratic. He stares at one spot on the wall, but his gaze is unfocused. He's lost in himself. This silence is bottled up rage, a boiling kettle with the lid clamped down. All energy directed inward, suppressing, holding control. It's the silence of a man who's been hurt but sees showing emotions as weakness. It's the quiet before an explosion or the quiet of turning to stone. Her posture is different. She's curled up in the corner of the couch, hugging a pillow. Her shoulders are slumped, chin tucked to her chest. Her eyes are downcast or blankly unfocused. Her breathing is light, almost inaudible. This silence is withdrawal, not aggressive, but protective. It's retreating into the fortress of her own hurt and pain. It's the silence of a woman who feels misunderstood, wounded, and now building walls to keep the pain at bay. It's the quiet of despair or deep reevaluation. Your limbic systems, these ancient brains handling emotions and survival, are in constant dialogue. They read these nonverbal cues with startling accuracy. Your primal mind already knows. This isn't peace. It's a threat. And it's priming your body, releasing cortisol, the stress hormone, adrenaline, tensing muscles. You might later grit out, everything's fine. But your body has already shouted the truth in the universal language of posture, muscle tone, and chemistry. In silence, there's no lie. It's the raw truth of your state. Words just mask or distort it. Insight 3. Whoever owns the pause owns the rhythm. Silence as sovereign territory. Imagine two animals on the same turf. The tension peaks not in the growl, but in that full, ringing silence before the lunge. In that quiet, it's decided who feels entitled to be there and who's ready to back down. The same goes for relationships. A pause isn't just a break, it's psychological territory. Whoever feels entitled to it, who dwells comfortably in it without needing to fill it right away, claims the position of strength. They don't wait for permission to be silent. They just exist in it. This isn't the power of a manipulator using silence as torture. It's the strength of a centered person. Someone whose sense of self-worth, whose confidence, doesn't rely on constant external validation. For them, silence isn't a threat to connection. It's a natural state of being. They don't fear being unloved in the quiet because their self-love doesn't vanish when the other falls silent. This creates a powerful gravitational field of calm. In their presence, a partner's dramatic, manipulative silence loses its punch because it finds no echo, no panic, no chasing, no desperate bids for attention. And the opposite, If you panic at the slightest quiet, if any pause feels like the harbinger of disaster, he'll leave me, she's fallen out of love. You reveal your deep emotional dependence. You show that your sense of self is a fragile structure that crumbles without round-the-clock confirmation from outside. Then the other's silence truly becomes a weapon of mass destruction, because you've handed them the power, giving up the keys to your own stability. So where's the way out? Not in learning to outsilence the other, winning the ignoring contest. That's a road to mutual sabotage hell. We need to turn the battlefield into a space for breathing. Step 1. Recognize the projection and withdraw it. When oppressive, aggressive silence crashes over you, the first reaction is to personalize it. It's because of me, I did something wrong. I need to fix it. Stop. Ask. Is the silence really about me? Or is it their way of dealing with their own fear, pain, helplessness? Often, silence is a cry for help from someone who doesn't know how to ask, or a defensive response from someone who feels cornered. Separate their silence from your self-worth. It's not a judgment of you, it's the state of the other person. Step 2. Master your own silence. Start small. Consciously create pockets of silence when alone. A walk without podcasts, 10 minutes in the morning with tea, no phone. Don't reply to a message right away because you're choosing to finish your thought. The goal isn't to ignore others, but to train your nervous system that silence is safe, productive, fulfilling. You fill it with yourself, not fear. This way, you strip silence of its demonic power and turn it into a neutral, then valuable resource. Step 3. Introduce a new kind of connection, silent. This is the advanced level. When tension eases, offer intimacy where words aren't needed. Not let's talk, but let's just sit. Hold hands during a movie. Make tea together without discussing issues. A shared walk where it's okay not to fill every second with speech. This silent trust says, I'm comfortable with you even when we're not exchanging info. Your presence is enough. Such silence heals. It builds bridges over the chasms words have dug. Silence between a man and a woman isn't a communication glitch. It's the essence of it. It's the blank screen that reveals everything. Your attachments and dependencies, your strength and wounds. You can't force the other to speak, but you can completely change what silence means to you. You can stop being a hostage to their pauses. You can learn to hear in the quiet, not accusation or threat, but just quiet. And sometimes the music that your own fear's noise used to drown out. Strength isn't about winning the silence war. It's about disarming it by stopping to see it as a war. It's about owning your silence with such dignity that any other silence beside you stops being a weapon and becomes just space. Space where anything is possible, even paradoxically the deepest, truest communication. The most important things are never spoken aloud. They resonate in how you hold the silence. Do you hold it like a jailer, chaining yourself in the shackles of anticipation? Or like an owner, calmly living in your home, knowing the door is open, and whether to let in or not is always your free choice?